What's up, everybody? Welcome to Seal of Quality, a Nintendo podcast where we cover the past, present, and future of the Big N. I'm your host, Fusion64, and today on the show, we have my top 10 Switch games of all time. This is it. This is the big list. So, sit back and relax. We've got that. We've got a couple of small news items that broke. I'm going to get into what I'm playing, which includes this game on the screen, Bayonetta Origins. And then we got a deep dive into The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. But first, a little housekeeping to get out of the way. This show is going to drop every Monday at 9 a.m. Central Time. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, ring that bell so you're notified when this podcast drops. All right, let's get into my top 10 Switch games of all time. And man, when I was making this list out, I forgot how many amazing Switch games there are. And I'm not even like a Pokemon fan. So like, if you're a Pokemon fan, there's probably a good 8 to 10 more games that you could put on this list, really. So I had a really hard time narrowing this down. I'm leaving games out. Like my honorable mention list, it could be like a mile long. I tried to whittle that down to like 5 honorable mentions, but I went back and forth on some games. I tried to make some rules, and then I said, forget it, I'm just going to make my own rules. But, all right, let's go. My top 10 Switch games of all time, which maybe this might actually, some of them might change depending on what day it is. I think the top 3 are pretty much set, but let's start off with some honorable mentions here. My first honorable mention is Animal Crossing. This is such a fun game. It's chores the game in a fun way, fun Nintendo way. I love it. It was great. Everybody played the hell out of it in 2020. Such a fun game. Zelda Skyward Sword. I absolutely love this game. If this was a more of a remake instead of like a remaster with a 60 frames per second upgrade, this would make the list. I actually wanted to put it on the list, but I put a different game in there because it's more of a remake. So yeah, I mean the new controls with using the right analog stick instead of the motion controls make this a much more playable game, and it's got a great story. You play this game after you play Breath of the Wild, and you'll see where Nintendo started to lay the groundwork for a lot of the stuff that's in Breath of the Wild. Just an amazing Zelda game, and it gets a lot of slander, but I don't think it deserves half of the slander that it gets. Next up, Friday the 13th. I love this game. I played the hell out of it on PS4, and then when it released later on Switch, I played probably 30 to 40 hours of this. I found the community on there on Switch to be better than the PS4 community because by that time, a lot of cheaters got in. And yeah, it was just a fun community. I played it about 6 months ago, and I think the game is probably kind of dead now, which is unfortunate because there's not much of a single-player game. But this game was a ton of multiplayer fun. And hey, it's janky on every console version, basically. So you're not missing much by playing it on the Switch, really. Next up, we have Hades. I love Hades. It's a great game. If I would have finished it, it probably would have made the top 10. But just like going through each run, trying to get further and further, upgrading your character, upgrading some of your abilities, getting the new weapons. Yeah, just a blast to play. Highly recommended indie game. Basically launched, I think Nintendo was the first one to get this game of the other platforms. And yeah, I have it physically. Absolutely adore this game. And last in the honorable mentions, I mean, I could go on forever. Bayonetta, that whole series, Metroid Prime, I didn't put that on the list. Astral Chain, Fire Emblem, Three Houses. I didn't finish that, so I didn't put it on the list, but I do think that's a great game. But this game I did finish last year, and I thought it would be quite charming, which is Paper Mario, the Origami King. And this one got a little bit of flack for its battle system because it's kind of like, it's not turn-based, the traditional turn-based RPG. You've got like this like grid where you got to line up all the characters, and then you hit a button and you can do different type of attacks, which it's almost like a puzzle game at that point. And I actually loved it. It was a fun story, some great memorable characters, the visuals. It was a very good-looking game. I highly recommend Paper Mario, the Origami King, and you could find it probably physically for pretty cheap, around like $30. So that's a must-play at $30, definitely. I think that's about what I got it for, I believe. So, all right, after that, without further ado, let's get into my top 10 Nintendo Switch games of all time, the master list, if you would say. Number 10, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. Now, I didn't know if I was going to put this on there because it's actually a port from the Wii U, but I don't care. This game is fantastic. If you're a Zelda fan, this is a must-play. I played this after playing Horizon Forbidden West last year on PlayStation 4, and I'm like, I would gotten a lull. I didn't know what to play. I just spent 80 hours platinuming this gigantic open world game, and nothing could stick. And I finally popped this in, and it is just such dumb fun. You can literally get in there and just mash buttons and have a great time. It's got all of these different eras of the Zelda franchise. I think I probably put like 30 to 40 hours in there roughly and beat the main campaign, played a little bit of side stuff afterwards, but there's literally like 100 hours worth of content in this game. I wish I had more time to just keep playing it. Like, you've got characters from the Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, A Link Between Worlds, like so many different characters. And it's got a neat story. It's, like I said, it's just mindless fun. It doesn't take a lot to get into. And yeah, I think it's one of my favorite games on the Switch, hands down for sure. Next up is Mario Maker 2. And while I missed out on the first Mario Maker because at the time I sold my Wii U, Mario Maker 2 was my first foray into the Mario Maker franchise. And I had a friend that we would just make levels for each other, like a-hole levels, and just so the other person couldn't beat him. And I'd literally spend like a day trying to beat this level that my friend made for me, and vice versa for him. So this was like, it's definitely hit or miss, because sometimes when you go into the search menu, you have a hard time finding good levels. You find crappy levels. But there's some really great creators out there. You pop this in, search top Mario Maker creators on YouTube or on Google, and a lot of creators will come up. There's somebody who made, like, I think it was Super Mario Brothers 5 or Super Mario World 5 or something like that. That's got like a whole world. They added worlds in there. So there's tons of content in this game if you were a 2D platformer fan. And especially if you've got a friend who has this, this is like a must-play, like, multiplayer game for sure. Number 8, I thought about putting Skyward Sword in there, but I said I switched, and I put Link's Awakening in here. Now, Link's Awakening is a game that I beat on the Game Boy when I was a wee lad, and this version of Link's Awakening is beautiful. I love the art style. And Link's Awakening is such a great game, so this game staying true to what the original was, but just upgrading the visuals is an amazing experience. Only two little gripes, I'd say. The slowdown between when you shift frames, it drops to like 30 frames, then back up to 60 for like a second. And then every time you get the power-ups, you have to read the menu again. And I got to the point where I just avoid getting some of the power-ups. I think it's like the acorn and I don't know what the other one is. Just so I wouldn't have to read the freaking menu and hear the noise again. But other than that, like, it's this really shows off what was great about some of the Game Boy games. Is like they took the traditional Nintendo franchises and made them like really like goofy, like they were on drugs making them. Like there's Goombas, a Chain Chomp, Yoshi. Like Link can jump in this game, which is crazy. Yeah, it's one of my favorite games of the Switch. Love it. Number 7, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. How can you not have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on your list? Like, it's the ultimate party game. They added the battle mode, which is awesome in this version. Now we got 48 tracks coming for DLC. Like the ultimate Mario Kart game. I don't know how Nintendo is going to top Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I love all the classic courses in there. And even now that they're bringing even more courses, my only gripe on the new courses would be some of the Mario Kart Tour courses. The characters and the environments look a little low textures and a little bit lower res. They don't look as good as the original courses from the original game, but hey, it's still an amazing game, definitely. Number 6 is probably a surprise, is Dragon Quest XI S. And this is my first Dragon Quest game that I've ever played, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think I put in like close to 100 hours in this game. I didn't get the true ending, but I did get the first ending, and it's a great game on the Switch, great game on the go. It gets a little low resolution in portable mode. I played a lot of this docked, but it's such a great traditional JRPG with a really great story, a really great cast of characters, and who doesn't love that Dragon Quest intro theme song? It's just great. I love it. Next one, Metroid Dread, Metroid's return to 2D. This is Mercury. I believe it's Mercury Steam. Their follow up to Samus Returns, which was on the 3DS, and I think they knocked it out of the park. This one, I wouldn't rank it in like the top tier of Metroidvania games, but I just a notch below that. And I love the Emmy stuff, the new abilities. It's got a story in it, which is crazy. It's got a really good story. What else can you say? Samus has some great power ups in this game. And it feels good to be back in this 2D Metroid world. Number 4, Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, this game, I got at launch. My son actually beat the game. Unfortunately, I had to play as Gooigi throughout the whole game and be his sidekick. But I think that experience of us playing together and beating it together definitely vaults this game up to the top of my list. And it's probably one of Switch's best looking games out there. This game is stunning looking, great visuals, great gameplay. It's got a multiplayer mode, which is just okay, but the co-op in the game is great. There's a ton of awesome puzzles, great characters, and yeah, you can't go wrong with Luigi's Mansion 3. Number 3, I'm going to lump these two games together, and that is the Splatoon series. Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3. I think I put about 100 hours into Splatoon 2. I think I'm around 80 now in Splatoon 3, and this multiplayer game is awesome. It delivers fun multiplayer for people that want to play a multiplayer game but don't want to be super serious and go. You can go around and just ink the turf and help your team win. You don't have to worry about killing people or getting killed. There's multiple different ways to play this game. I love how this game has a battle pass, but it's a free battle pass. They are making this a games as a service without charging you extra money. It's a $60 flat fee. They continue to provide content for years, and it's something you don't see anymore. And I think it just deserves credit just for that alone. I thought Splatoon 2's campaign was pretty good. The Octo expansion was even better. And I've been so busy with the multiplayer on Splatoon 3, I still haven't touched the campaign yet, which is sad. But definitely, that's a number 3 for me, the Splatoon series. Love that series. I look forward to when they announce Splatoon 3. It'll be one of my most anticipated games, definitely. Next up, we have Mario Odyssey at number 2. And who doesn't love Mario Odyssey? It's more of a collectathon than anything, really, in my opinion. You know, I love the abilities of just taking over the different characters, villains, bad guys, whatever you want to call them, the Goombas, your dinosaur, you throw your hat on them and you take control of them. Some good puzzles, good platforming, and there's a ton of content in this game, tons of levels, tons of moons to go out there and get. I was surprised that they didn't add like DLC, because I mean, even Zelda Breath of the Wild got DLC. I was really surprised we didn't get any Mario Odyssey DLC, but nonetheless, this is an amazing game that will last you a really long time. That was number 2. Number 1, we're going to split it up as a 1A and 1B. Just cheating, I know, but sue me. My list. 1B, Breath of the Wild. I mean, who's not going to have Breath of the Wild on their top 10 Switch list? I mean, this is the game that got the Switch phenomenon going. Amazing game. What can I say? I was hooked on this game. One of the few games where I played this game like 120 hours, got 120 shrines straight through, and didn't touch another game until I was done with this game. I was that mesmerized in this world, in the new way, the new things that they've done with the Zelda franchise. I couldn't believe like what I was playing. The shrines, absolutely love the shrines. The Divine Beasts were a little weak, like the lack of dungeons was a miss, but still, the weapon. I'm a fan of the weapon degradability. I I'm sorry, it just makes the whole circle of your weapons break, you see a chest, it makes you want to explore, makes you want to get these chests, makes you want to get Koroks so you can expand your inventory. I feel like there's almost like a whole circular circle of life going on here with that whole system, to where the durability of the weapons is key to this game. Like, it wouldn't function the same without the weapon durability. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Might be like it's for sure a top 3 game of all time for me, 100%. I would say maybe, depending on what day you ask, my favorite game of all time. But this next one, 1A, Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know. At first, I didn't know if it had the impact on me that Breath of the Wild had, but playing it now 60, 70 hours into it, it has taken over and consumed my life. I love this game. It does everything that Breath of the Wild does, but better. Like, the only thing that it really doesn't have that Breath of the Wild had is the impact of being new. But this game is a phenomenon out there. Like, the abilities are better. The way you fuse weapons kind of solves the weapon durability thing to an extent. The new abilities are amazing. They have added so much into this game. But we'll get into more of Tears of the Kingdom in the What I'm Playing segment. But yeah, that's my list. Hyrule Warriors 10, Mario Maker 9, Link's Awakening 8, 7 Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, 6 Dragon Quest 11, 5 Metroid Dread, 4 Luigi's Mansion 3, 3 Splatoon series, 2 Mario Odyssey, 1 B Breath of the Wild, and 1 A Tears of the Kingdom. On an honorable mention of Smash Brothers, I could have put Smash Brothers in there. I'm not a huge Smash fan, but lately, this past 6 months, my kids have gotten into it, so we've played a lot more of that. So that's like another honorable mention. I've probably got 50 physical Switch games that I could have put most of them in there. Mario plus Rabbids, I absolutely thought that's an amazing game. Like, yeah, you really just realize how great of a lineup the Nintendo Switch has between its first party, second party, and all of the indies that are on there. Like, I could literally, the Switch 2 could be my only console, basically, that I ever play with, and have nothing else, and I'd be totally content. I think they've done a great job. They knocked it out of the park with the Switch, and it's Nintendo's best system ever, I think, in my opinion now. And I've been a Nintendo fan since the NES, and I can honestly say between that, the Nintendo Switch Online Classic section is amazing. Like, they've got it basically all, except for some third-party games. But hey, they get they get the FIFAs and the NBA 2Ks and some of the other. They get enough third parties to where you can be content with the system. So that is the top 10. Let's get into some news this week. Nintendo just shadow dropped, hey, everybody, 1-2 Switch, the sequel to 1-2 Switch on Twitter, and I think it's $30. They didn't put a gameplay trailer up. They put nothing up with it. It's on the eShop. There's no trailer or anything else. You can pre-order it. And a lot of people thought that maybe that means that there's no Direct, which today a lot of people have saying that there is no Nintendo Direct in June. But that still doesn't mean that there's not a Nintendo Direct in July. I just think that they have no confidence in everybody 1-2 Switch, because there was rumors earlier in the year, or was it last year maybe, that the sequel to 1-2 Switch was in development hell, and it went through focus testing and people hated it, thought it was awful. They even mentioned a horse in the game, which there's a horse on the cover of this game, so I think it kind of pans out. So I just think that this is a game that they want to be like, oh, hey, distance themselves from, and just kind of put it out there and just pretend like they didn't have anything to do with it. So I think that's why this is out there. I don't think it means that there's not going to be a Nintendo Direct this year. I think we'll probably get one in July, most likely. Like I said last week, they're going to be at Gamescom, so they have to have games to show. Pikmin comes out in July, so I don't think they're going to spend this money to go to Gamescom and just bring old games, not new stuff. Even if there's a partner direct showcase or whatever. But and then they put out a tweet later that night for pastel Easter color Joy-Cons, which is okay, hey, that's something for somebody, I guess, not for me. Although I would take some Pikmin Joy-Cons if hopefully we get some Pikmin themed Joy-Cons. I doubt those would be a big seller, so they probably won't, but Yeah, those are the only two really Nintendo news stories to drop this week. The everybody went to Switch and the new Joy-Cons. So that is news. Now I'm going to get to what I have been playing, and before I get into that, let's show off my new retro purchase for the week, and that is Link's crossbow training with the Wii Zapper for the Wii. And I did have this originally. It got a nice box in it. The box is in great condition for $20 at a $10 coupon, so really only costed me $10, which was a great deal, actually. I remember Link's crossbow training being actually a neat little game, so me and my kids will play that. I booted up some NBA Jam this week on the Wii and forgot how fun that is, although it's a little rough to use the Wii remote controller sideways because when you hit the back trigger, it kind of hurts your finger. Popped in the Conduit, which I said I got last week for Wii, and I want to dig into a little bit more, but it did make me remember how bad a lot of the pointer controls for the, not necessarily the pointer controls themselves, but turning with the Wii remote, because the remote will kind of go off screen for the sensor and then it'll like freeze kind of. So that was one of the big problems with like first person games in the Wii, if I do recall. But I'm going to dig into that a little bit more this week, maybe have a little bit more in-depth analysis on it next week with some video footage, hopefully. But when I played of it, I think I played like an hour and a half of it. I thought it was pretty decent, pretty solid. It was it's a throwback first person shooter game. We don't really make first person shooters like that anymore. Now, this next game that I've been playing, you're seeing on screen, and that is the demo for Bayonetta Origins. I'm a big Bayonetta fan. I haven't played 3 yet. I love Bayonetta 1 and 2. I think 2 is fantastic. I have the collector's edition for Bayonetta 3, but I still haven't opened it yet because I'm an idiot. But I wanted to try this out because I do remember hearing some good things about it, and I saw that there's a demo on the eShop. So I started this bad boy up, and like 30 minutes into it, it's like it's a very different tone than the Bayonetta games. It's more like a fable, fairy tale kind of story. And I'm like 30 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'm getting kind of bored. Maybe this ain't for me. And then boom, you get your powers. You get like a demon that you control. Basically, this game, you control Bayonetta or Cereza, if you want to call her that, on the left analog stick, and you control your demon on the right analog stick. And this game plays a lot like the game Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, and I was amazed by this game. I'm like, this game is really good. It started sucking me in. I'm like, man, now I went from like, oh, this is kind of boring, I don't know, to like, yeah, I'm definitely looking to scoop this up. See, it's on sale for like $30 physical. I'm all over that. And yeah, it's a very fun game. You've got to use both players at the same time, so it can kind of mess with your brain a little bit using both analogs, but not in like a first-person shooter type of way. You're kind of controlling 2 different characters at the same time to move them and do puzzles and fight enemies with both characters at the same time. They've each got different abilities to tackle different objectives in the game, and yeah, this game's awesome. I recommend, if you're a Bayonetta fan, or if you're even like, if it looks interesting, I'd recommend downloading it on the eShop. It's free. Although I will warn you, it takes about 30 minutes to get going, but I think I played for a good hour and a half maybe of this game. And yeah, it definitely sold me. So the demo did its job of making me want to purchase the game. After that, really that's it for Switch. But let's get into the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom talk. And oh boy, man, I'm enthralled in this game. I absolutely love it. I think I was off work Friday, and I think I played this game for a solid 6 hours straight. No kidding. I could not put it down. It was just that thing of like, one more thing. Okay, I'm here. I got this. You're going to do a shrine, and all of a sudden you see something interesting, and you're like, okay, well, let me just take care of that. You go there. Then it leads to like some big side quest, and this game just makes Breath of the Wild like retroactively feel really empty because there is so much content in this game. So many awesome side quests, so many awesome shrines. Like I've heard people say like, well, the The skies really, there's not a lot going on in the sky basically, but no, there's a lot really to explore up in the sky. There's like treasure chests to find that lead you to treasure down below in the depths. There's like really things that there's like quests that you can find in the sky that lead you below that give you like brand new abilities that are going to help you out seriously throughout the game. There's a lot of stuff to do. I've really taken a liking to the building mechanics in the game. I'm over there. I'm not somebody who crafts a lot in video games, but I'm over there crafting like all kinds of different ships, like a different boat to get to over to Evertide Island. If you played Breath of the Wild, you know what that is. And I tackled that. I will say I recommend tackling Eventide Island, because the object that you get from there is going to really help you out in the depths below. Super awesome. It just feels great visiting these areas that you remember playing from Breath of the Wild, but with a new spin, a new taste, more content. The cave system is awesome. It's super rewarding. You know, not every cave has gear in it, but enough of them do to where you're like, okay, does this cave have some new gear in it? Does this one have some new gear in it? And when you get that new piece of gear, it's really awesome. It's really awesome going around, getting the stuff to upgrade. I'm now getting even better weapons. I beat my first Lionel, and it got some awesome stuff to buff my weapons. And my weapons went up from like in the teens to low 20s, and now I'm hitting stuff in the 40s. And honestly, if I wanted to, I could have some stuff in the 50s. And I've only done the first temple, really. That's it. That's all I've done. And I've played this game for like 60, 70 hours. There's that much content in this game. I think this game probably could get me damn near 200 hours probably in this game, I feel like. I haven't even tackled the Goron region. I haven't tackled the desert region. I still haven't been over to the Zora region. I've been going around, going at the Great Plateau. It's kind of cool to go back there and see like your starting position from Breath of the Wild, but they changed it up a bit. There's a bunch of cool stuff there. Like, yeah, it's crazy. This game feels like, this game feels like a throwback. It feels like you're visiting an old classic, even though Breath of the Wild, released in 2017, it feels like you're revisiting an old classic. It's wild, but oh my God, I love the weapon fusing, the different types of weapons you can make in this game. Like I found like some Lizalfo, I think it was a Lizalfo horn, and I fused it to one of my swords, and it made this like long, it turned it into a whole different sword. It's not just like it welds it on there. It turned it into a whole different design. That's how some of the weapons, the fusing does in some of the weapons. Like you can fuse the craziest stuff on there. I found there's a sky island that I still can't get to. So I spent probably like 2 hours trying to make some kind of contraption to get up there, but my balloon kept timing out. And so like I still haven't gotten up there. It's just like the ultimate carrot on the stick game. And I think what Nintendo does great here is they've made a game where you can, if you want, play for 10, 15 minutes and like do a shrine and be done with it, or you can play for hours on end. And that's one of the best things they've made about this game is it's a game for a lot of different people. The boss fights in this game, I feel like Nintendo doesn't get enough credit for making boss fights that are fun. Fun boss fights, not super hard, but like they do that with a lot of their games is they make like fun little mechanics that you're like, oh, I got to do this. It's a Nintendo game. I can do this to beat this boss. And it's just fun to play, man. I don't know. I think I'm going to go out there on a limb and say I think the Zelda team that made Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is the best development team in the industry, and it's not even close. If you look at what they're working with the Switch hardware, which is awesome, but it's not super powerful. And they made a game that I think, like, I don't know who has topped this game. Not in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's topped this game. Like, not in a gameplay, world building, exploration type. In visuals, yes. In story, yes. But when it comes down to raw gameplay, I think Nintendo is pretty much unmatched. And like, yeah, this dev team just hit it out of the park. I don't know what they're going to do to top this game. I really don't. And I mean, I haven't even made it to some of the best parts in the game. I've heard the ending is absolutely amazing and incredible. I've heard the scene where you get the Master Sword is like one of the best scenes in gaming from like multiple different people. And I'm not even there yet, and I'm this high on this game. It's just, it's absolutely crazy. I love it. Absolutely love it. But yeah, that's it for the show this week. Thanks everyone for listening and watching. And remember, if you're new here, if you love this podcast, if you like what I'm doing, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you're notified when new content drops. And once again, thanks again. And I will see you guys later. Thanks.